to action. This fourth tetrad is, it's calling us to action. It's calling us to become intimate with impermanence. And what I want to say to you here is that I'm going to say a few things, and you might not learn anything or get anything from what I say, and that's fine, because for me, I want you to learn something and get something from your meditation. I just want to say, from the books that I have written, the books which are specifically Dharma books, the two couple of books which are Dharma books that I've written, that has all come out of meditation. It hasn't come out of reading books or studying. It's come out of my meditation. So I really want to really encourage you to put every effort into your practice today, because it's only 40 minutes in permanence. It's only going to be 40 minutes that we're sitting for. So really want you to make the most out of this session. So a few things I want to say. Um, well, I may have said it. Oh, we are recording. Thank you, Shah, for putting that up there. So a few things that I want to say. I may have said it in the first session, so it won't hurt for me to say it in this session. I love this practice. It's a practice that can transform our lives. And I really encourage you to take this practice up, really. Um, it's such an amazing practice, and to remember that it's said that this was the practice that the prince was doing when he became woke. Yeah, and I love this practice because, as I say, you don't have to be reading the books. You don't have to think, oh my God, I've got to remember this sutta. I've got to remember all the teachings. I've got to remember what all the teachers say, because there may become a point that you might not even be able to hear the teachings. You might not even be able to see the teachings. You know, our faculties can go at any point in our lives, and we might not even be able to meditate. You know, sometimes we think, well, at least we will be able to meditate. But who knows? We may lose that faculty. But I really do believe that if we practice now, no matter what happens to our faculties, the the karma vipaaka, the fruits of this practice, will travel through, whether we have dementia or Alzheimer's, that actually those things will be a lot more calmer and a lot more manageable if we really commit to do this practice. Because, as you know, we cannot avoid these things like dementia and Alzheimer's. It's going to happen to many of us. Yeah, it's going to happen. And through this practice, it would just be a different experience to manage. So this final tetrad is a doorway to our awakening. By the time we've traveled through the third tetrad, by the time we have traveled through the body, through feelings, through the mind, if we're lucky, we would have reached equanimity. And we will have 12 minutes of preparation. So we're not going to jump into this four tetrad, the tetrad of dharmas, the tetrad of objects of the mind. We will have a preparation so that we can mindfully enter into this fourth tetrad of the objects of the mind. Yeah. So as I said, we're invited to become more intimate with impermanence. And I say more intimate because this is what we've actually been doing. In the first three tetrads, we are intimate with impermanence. So if you haven't been aware of that, I want you to realize that that's what we've been doing, because we have been with the breath, and the breath is impermanence. The impermanence is the backbone of this practice. The breath is always changing. Yeah, it's always changing. And what we have to remember is that impermanence can bring about dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. It doesn't have to in fact, it's said that the deathless one is the one who has managed to come into acceptance of their mortality. This is the deathless one. The deathless one is the one who can come into acceptance with impermanence. So we know in this fourth tetrad, there is impermanence, and we could look at impermanence in terms of the 5 aggregates or the 5 skandhas or the 5 heaps. I like the 5 heaps because it reminds me of impermanence. If we think of a heap of sand, how that heap is always changing, and at some point we won't even see that heap. So in the first breath, in breath, out breath, we can think of the breath moving in and out of the body. This is the first aggregate, the first heap, the body. And these heaps is what the human condition is made up of. Okay, so we have the body, in and out breath. And then we know when we inhale and exhale, there's going to be sensation. There's going to be Vedana. This is the second heap, feeling tone, Vedana. And then the aspect of knowing that there's an in-breath and out-breath, this is perception. This is the third heap, the third aggregate. And then there is the intention to stay with the breath, not let the mind wander, keep on bringing back the mind to the inhale, to the exhale, keep on bringing back the mind, heart to the body. And this is our volition, mental formation, that heap. And then there's the knowing of all of this whole process, which is consciousness, the fifth heap. And all of these heaps are constantly changing. The body is constantly changing. Like, where is the 1-year-old? Once upon a time, you were in a 1-year-old body, okay? And look at all of us here now. I cannot see the 1-year-old body or the 5-year-old body. Proof that the body is continually changing, yeah. Feelings are continually changing. They're always changing. We know that. Sometimes when I work with young adolescents and they're completely broken-hearted over their first love. And I think, gosh, I remember when I was completely broken-hearted over that first love. It was like I was never going to recover. And look at me now. I can't even remember who that first love is, you know? Can't even remember that feeling of that first love. In fact, I have a joke with them because, you know, when you're talking to like 13, 14, 15-year-olds who have, you know, I sometimes I think, oh my God, you know, why did you have to start so young and falling in love? But one of the things I say to them, I say, just imagine being with that person for 50 or 60 years and you see the horror on their face. And that it does actually work. They kind of begin to let go of this dukkha, this feeling. I would say that one of the great practices that I have had, and it just came to me many years ago, is the practice of flowers. Is a real great practice for impermanence, a real great practice of buying a bunch of flowers. And when I think of it, flowers are cut off something, just as we are cut off the umbilical cord, flowers are cut off their umbilical cord. Flowers are put into a vase. Humans are put into the vase of the world. And yet when you watch these flowers, some keel over in a day. Some stay strong for a month. Some get old and wither and they're still really strong, and some die really quickly. And this is just like us as humans, that some die young, some kind of wither but still stay strong, and some live for a long while. But impermanence. And impermanence is so important. It's one of the lakshanas, the 3 lakshanas, the 3 marks of the human condition: impermanence, anicca, dukkha, unsatisfactory, and anatta, non-self. And if we can really begin to accept impermanence, it will begin to wash away our clinging. It will begin to help dissolve our passions. It will begin to help dissolve our attitudes and mental states. And hopefully we'll stop clinging. And so we move into the second part of this fourth tetrad, dispassion, viraga. Yeah. And if we are really able to allow things to dissolve and to wash away, the dispassion helps us to begin to see the end of things, cessation, which is the third part of this fourth tetrad, cessation. Yeah. The ending of exhalation, the disappearing. Can we become aware of what is ending? Can we notice what is disappearing in our experience? Yeah. It's an important one for us to think about. And then, of course, if we can really, really see the end of things, if we can really, really come to terms that everything is going to end, then we will be able to relinquish and relinquish this thing called I, relinquish this thing called me, relinquish mine. We will be able to let go of the conceit of I. We'll be able to let go of all that is conditioned, and we will be able to surrender to the unconditioned. Sometimes I hear people say that metta, the four Brahma Viharas, is the most important practice. And I say it's the most important practice along with the practice on focusing on impermanence. Yeah. In fact, all practices lead to this thing of impermanence. In fact, we are all renunciates. We're all renunciates. It's not just the monks or the nuns who go and live in monasteries, they're the renunciates. We're all renunciates. We can either choose to renounce now, or we do it bit by bit. Some of you may have already renounced dairy products or meat products. Some of you may have renounced alcohol. Some of you may have renounced tobacco or drugs, and whatever. We choose what we want to renounce. But at the point of death, we have to renounce every single thing. There's absolutely nothing we can take with us. Not our beautiful home, not our beautiful children, not our beautiful friends. There's absolutely nothing. And so we must begin to really, truly become intimate with impermanence. It's a call to action, impermanence. This moment is impermanent. I just want to end. I could say so much more, but I want us to do the practice. And in fact, I will, if you get ready into your meditation practice, I will say this gatha, which was created by somebody called Caroline Jones, and it's based on the 5 remembrances. Yeah. So if you get yourself ready, get yourself comfortable, and just know if anything strong arises and you need to stop and get up or sit or walk around, that's totally fine. This is your practice. The 5 remembrances by Caroline Jones. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember this body is aging. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember This body is vulnerable to sickness. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember this body will die. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember that loss is part of life. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember to greet this moment with wisdom. Breathe in gently. I lovingly remember to greet this moment with compassion. So becoming aware of your unique body, this body that you have for this lifetime. So just noticing where your feet are, noticing the touch of your sitting bones, noticing where your hands are resting, and noticing if there's any tension in the body. And noticing the in-breath, the out-breath. And noticing what's going on in the mind. And having a sense of the mind dropping into the heart. Mind, heart become one. And mind, heart dropping into the body, settling into the body. As the body settles onto your meditation spot, whether it be sitting or laying down. And becoming mindful of the body, mindful of the in-breath and out-breath. Mindfulness, the first awakening factor. And as you become aware of the in-breath, out-breath, have the sense of investigating your own unique breathing. The second awakening factor, investigation. Investigating your in-breath, investigating the out-breath. And see if you can experience the whole body breathing, just having the sense of the whole body breathing, having the sense of energy coursing through the body as you breathe in and out. The third awakening factor. And it's okay if you can't feel one of the awakening factors. Just be open, and if you touch into one of them, then let that be satisfactory. No need to crave to be able to experience all the 7 awakening factors as we move through the first 3 tetrads. Wondering if you could tap into a sense of joy of being here with all of us practicing. You've given yourself this moment to practice. So tap into the sense of joy, the joy of walking in the footsteps of the Buddha, the joy of just knowing that so many people have been liberated from this practice, and you too can be liberated from this practice. And with that sense of joy, having a sense of contentment of just all you have to be doing here right now for the next 40 minutes is just being aware of the in-breath, the out-breath. Nothing else, simple, not easy, but just the contentment of being with the in and out breath. And see if you can touch into that 5th awakening factor. The 4th is joy. 5th is tranquility. See if you can drop into a space of tranquility, a space of calm. And if you are experiencing some agitation, see if you can connect to the touch of the breath and allow the touch of the breath to soothe you, calm you, have a moment of tranquility. And some of you may have just naturally gone into concentration, concentrating the mind. So those of you perhaps who aren't that concentrated, just be aware of mental activity without getting active with it. This is the way we can become concentrated. We notice the proliferation in the mind. We notice the activity, but we just don't pay attention to it. And that way, we naturally fall into concentrating the mind. The 6th awakening factor, concentration. It's from the place of concentration we can begin to liberate the mind, liberating the mind from the hindrances, from sense desire, craving, from ill will, aversion, from restlessness and anxiety, from sloth and torpor, and from doubt. Yeah. So if you notice any of these hindrances arising, see if you can abandon them. Notice the danger, just notice how they just hijack hijack the mind, cause dukkha, cause suffering. See if you can liberate the mind without not getting engaged with the hindrances. And see if you can just drop into some moments of equanimity. Compassion, wisdom, equanimity, the seventh awakening factor. Compassion, wisdom. Where there's equanimity, there is compassion, there is wisdom. So if you're a compassion type, have the sense of breathing into compassion. If you're a wisdom type, have the sense of breathing into wisdom. And by breathing into wisdom, truly, compassion will arise. And by breathing into compassion, wisdom will arise. They're just doorways to each other. Equipoise, equanimity, equipoise, equanimity. The quiet mind, in breath, out breath, quiet mind, empty mind, free mind, liberated mind. Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating impermanence, breathing out, contemplating impermanence, becoming aware of the impermanence of the in-breath, the out-breath. Every breath takes us closer to our mortality. So I invite you to begin to look deeply into your experience and find permanence. So look deeply. What in your experience is permanent? I really want you to really look, question, examine. Permanent. Is it really permanent? And really feel the experience as you question, what is permanent in my experience? Yeah. So an invitation to work diligently, skillfully, compassionately, mindfully, as you find permanence in your experience. What is permanence? Where is permanence? Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating impermanence, breathing out, contemplating impermanence. Now look for permanence. What is permanent in your experience? Is there anything permanent in your experience? And I don't want an intellectual answer. Go looking, really see for yourself. Where is permanence? What is permanent in your experience? Question, challenge, really look. Look hard and really try to find permanence. We are told everything changes, everything is impermanent, but we live our life as if things are permanent. So you need to look at these things that you have been unconsciously or consciously thinking that they're permanent. You need to look at them and you need to see the fabrication and concoction of the mind and really see through this delusion that these things are permanent. So don't need to be embarrassed. This is your journey on your own, but I need you to look at these things that you think have thought have been permanent and just really see for yourself, are they really permanent? Thus, we train ourselves breathing in, contemplating dispassion, breathing out, contemplating dispassion. We are looking at fading away. This is an opportunity to stand back from samsara. And samsara is the fabrication and the concoction of the mind. Can you step out of samsara and really begin to see things as they really are? And we step out of samsara, out of the concoction and fabrication of the mind by noticing ourselves beginning to cling. You may be clinging to fear right now, or clinging to attachment right now. Fear can arise when we are doing this practice. And when we have fear, we begin to hold on to our identities. We begin to try and solidify things. So just notice what you're clinging to, what you're attached to, and really see if you can begin to let this clinging dissolve. Let these attachments dissolve. Step out of samsara. So we can ask things like fear to step aside, or anxiety to step aside, to relax, so that we can really begin to loosen the grip of clinging, loosen the grip of attachments. So any obstacle of the mind, any hindrance which has arisen, whether it be sloth, torpor, whether it be sense desire, or ill will, or restlessness, or doubt, just ask these hindrances to just relax a bit, just relax, step aside, so that you can really begin to just relax. And in that relax, in that open-handedness, in that open body, one can really, truly contemplate dispassion. Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating fading away, breathing out, contemplating fading away. This is dispassion. Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating cessation, breathing out, contemplating cessation. Here we have the opportunity to bring samsara completely to a standstill. What is it that we need to end? What is it that we need to end to bring samsara to a standstill, to bring the fabrication and the concoction of the mind to a standstill? What is it that we need to end to bring the hindrances to a standstill? One of the ways we can begin to do this is if mental activity has arisen, we just don't get active with it. If the hindrances have arisen, we don't get active with it. We stop clinging. There is always an end in sight. Always, always an end. An end to a beautiful meal, an end to a beautiful gathering, an end to a beautiful conversation, an end to a beautiful meditation, an end to beautiful relationships. There is always an end. And we don't have to worry about the end. All we need to do is just to be in this moment now, if we are in this moment now, then we won't have to worry about the end, because we won't be clinging to a past or clinging to a future. And we'll just be here in this moment now. Now, and every now there is an end. If we can be right here now, we can be with cessation from moment to moment. But as soon as we start clinging, as soon as we get attached, we've moved into the past or future, and we're clinging, we're attached. So bringing samsara to a standstill is being in the now, 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 now. Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating, relinquishing, breathing out, contemplating, relinquishing. This is where we really, with all the virya, all the effort, all the energy, we let go of any identification with samsara. Let go of any identification of me, mine, or I. Letting go of all identification. if you pointed at you, like for example, if I pointed at Vimalasara, what would I be pointing at? It's the same question for you. If you pointed at the name that you use, what would you be pointing to? For example, if you could see two wheels and a pedal and a chain and a seat and a frame, where is the bike? What would you be pointing to? Where is that bike? When there's a wheel over here and another wheel over there and the pedals are somewhere there and the chain is somewhere there and the frame is somewhere there, where is the bike? And even if all those parts would assemble together, which part would you point to as the bike? So again, let go of all identification. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not I. Really see that the body is constantly changing. Constantly changing. Feelings are constantly changing. Perceptions are constantly changing. Mental volition is constantly changing. Consciousness is constantly changing. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not I. Where is me? If you try to point to me in you, what would you be pointing to? Where is me? If you started trying to point to the I, where is I? What would you be pointing to? Or mine? What would you be pointing to? Go on, try pointing to me. Where is me? Where is I? Where is mine? Thus, we train ourselves, breathing in, contemplating, relinquishing, breathing out, contemplating, relinquishing. So we come to another end, moment by moment, impermanence, the end of this moment, which takes us to the next moment. Okay, so let's see how people are doing. I always think on this last session that it should be 2 hours long. There never seems to be enough time on this last session.